Hey, welcome back. All right, so in the last tutorial, we got our platform all finished, and now we can go up to it and our player can interact with it and it will move. So now here's the scenario that suppose our platform is on the other side of a ravine that our player can't get across without having the platform. How do we get that platform from over there to over here? And that's what we're going to do now is we're going to make a call station so that the player can call a platform that's in a different location, either down or up, wherever it might be. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about real quick. All right, so in this demo, I have this call station that I put together. And if I hit play, the platform is actually down at the bottom, down there. And what I want to do is I want to call that platform to come up here. So if I hit it, it changes from red to green. The platform comes up and it goes away. And then I can also make it go back down if I had gotten back to it okay. But anyway, you get the idea. This calls and the light turns on and turns off to match the movement of the platform. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick about the process, what this is going to take. So the platform itself, the call platform, if we take a look at it, there's a bunch of things going on in it. When we first roll up to it, there's a little press the E button to interact that comes up, right, to call the platform. That's this right here, this set visibility, location, rotation. All this is doing is bringing up that text box so that the player can see the text and it gives them instructions of what to do. There is no functionality other than that for that piece of the blueprint. This is all we need to be able to call that other platform. We're using the call platform, and that is an interface. So we're going to be able to use that. And we also make it so that the platform makes a little beeping sound. Then the changing of the screen color is also handled through an interface. And this is the event update status. And on a flip-flop, it'll turn the material on the screen from red to green and then from green to red, depending on what part of the flip-flop it's in. That's all there is to calling this platform, except, of course, we have to create the interfaces. We're going to need to have 3 different interfaces on this. We're going to have an interaction interface, okay? We're going to need to call a platform, and we're also going to need to update status. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick at the way this works. So when the player actually rolls up to an object, remember we have this sphere trace by channel. The player will hit the E button to interact with whatever object is around it. And then with the sphere trace by channel, it will go out and see what it has hit. So it'll hit another actor. And then it'll have a valid return. And if it does have a valid return, it's true. But it also needs to make sure that that object has some sort of an interaction set to it. So BPI interaction, which is that BPI we created, the interact call. And then if it has both of those, it will then call the interaction for whatever that object is supposed to do. In this case, it's going to be either to move the platform or it's going to be to call the platform to it. All right, so let's talk about the platform or the call station real quick. This call station here is all I did was just take a cube, and I'm not going to, actually I might throw the model out there real quick just to kind of show you the process, but I'm going to make it real fast, and I'm not going to walk you through it. Just kind of show you what I did. Is exactly the same thing we did for the platform, where the platform has a little control panel on it. This is basically a standalone version of that. All right, so let's go ahead and make one real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. So go to modeling. Okay, all I did was I called out a box. I shrunk the box down till it looked about right. So the width was, let's see here, we're going to make this direction actually the X direction. So instead of 20, that's going to be 40, I think. And then the direction here is going to be roughly 30, something like that. The height. And then once that was done, I accepted it. what I did next was I went ahead and modeled it, went to polygroup edit, and instead of doing that rotation on the face like I did that one time because it kind of came out weird, I don't know why I shouldn't have, all I did was grab one of the edges, push it down like this, accept that, then go back to polygroup edit, do the insert edge loops, just kind of did this, something like that. Then hit done, then extrude. And actually, I'm going to accept this first so I have it so I don't lose it. And then I'm going to go back to polygroup edit, grab that face, do the extrude, and then just kind of extrude it down a little bit so I have a little bit of a gap, hit accept. Okay, and then that is basically it. Don't forget also to make your UVs. I will show you what a UV looks like real quick for one that I made. And also after that, for your attributes, you can assign your edit materials. I have 3 materials assigned to this. And when we fix the UV, see how it's kind of curved down here? That'll get that fixed too. So the UVs, I actually have one of these already done. So I'm just going to select this one. I'm going to delete it out of the scene. I'm going to go into my content drawer, into my mesh platforms. This is what I have made right here. And you can see everything looks a lot better. That's because it's been UV'd. So if I actually go here, right click, I can open up the UV editor for this. The UVs look something like this. This is the entire panel right here. This is the top piece around the frame, around the screen. This is the screen. So basically I have 3 UV islands. This is the little tiny area that's around the screen. So it would be up inside of here. This is the panel itself. This is the bottom. This is the front. This is the right side. This is the left side. And this is the back. I made it so that these are all one piece so that whenever we look at it from the front, it'll wrap around much better. And then in total of 3 UV islands. So when you create the UV islands, remember, once you create the UV islands, it'll make it so that you can set up your materials more easily. I have one that's called a panel body, which is this. I have the screen, which is this. And this is the screen trim, that little tiny spot that goes around the part of the screen right here. You see it right here? That part right there. So it should look something like this when you get it done. Basically, I move them and stitch them together. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, take a look at some of my previous tutorials where we did the 3D modeling for the platform. The platform is where we also set up the control panel for the platform. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. We have materials assigned to it. Okay, so one other thing I needed to cover real quick when we made this call box, right, is that this call box also needs to have a collider. So we need to make sure that you open up the mesh for this object, okay, for this static mesh, and we need to make sure that you have some sort of a collision. Now this is a simple little box. So basically all I did for this one is I go up to collision here and add box simplified collision and then save it. If you don't have a collider on it, your player will not be able to interact because again, your player with the interact piece here, it needs to hit an object and return that it hit something. If there's no collider, it's not hitting the object, it just passes right through it. So we need to make sure that this actually has an effective collision towards it, and then you need to make sure you save it, okay? So don't forget to do that. I'll apply materials to it later so it'll look better. All right, so let's go ahead and make our blueprint for our panel here. So we're gonna go to content, blueprints, and then we're gonna do interactable. I'm going to right click and blueprint class. This is going to be another actor. This is going to be called BP underscore call platform. Hopefully I didn't misspell that while I was typing. I'm going to double click and open it. Just do a real quick save on it so we don't lose it if something happens. All right. So what I need to do for this is we're going to need to go ahead and hit add, and we're going to need a static mesh. So I'm going to click on the static mesh, and this static mesh is going to be my SM underscore call platform. Okay, it's going to be that right there. And the static mesh over here, I should have renamed it call platform. All right. Now this is our box. I'm going to go ahead and compile it real quick. So I have that. I also, part of the scene root, I'm going to make a box trigger. So we're going to need a trigger box. So we're going to go ahead and add this. And I am going to type in box. And we're going to need a box collision. And this box collision, I'm just going to call trigger, box trigger. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this out. Is this that is 0, 0. Okay. Drag this up a little bit. And you can make it bigger if you need to. So remember, we can scale it. Right here, the box extends. So X, Y, and Z. So I want it to be a little wider on the X, maybe. Doesn't need to be so tall, but it doesn't hurt either. And the depth is probably about right. We want to be right up next to it when we do this. All right, so I'm going to compile that and save it. And then I also need, so I'm going to make the box trigger. Yeah, it already is a child of that. All right, and then we're also going to need a text renderer. And we're going to get a text renderer, and I'm going to make that a child of the box or the platform here. I'm just going to drag that out here and put it right about there. Okay, for the text renderer, we're actually going to give it a title here. So we're going to type in, I'm going to call mine press for the name of, for what it's going to actually print on the screen. I'm going to say press E to call. And then if you want it to go to a second line, you can actually put a little bit of code in here. We can use the break code. So I'm going to put in less than or greater than symbols actually. And then I'm going to type in platform at the end of that. So it's kind of like that. So what that's going to do is if I hit enter, you can see that it's going to put it down on two separate lines. Now, one of the things I needed to do is I need to change the scale, and I'm also going to change my text. Right now, I'm using, actually I'm going to leave that default because this is easier to read than the text I've been using. So let's just change this to 12. Shrink it down a little bit. It doesn't need to be quite so big. And then we're going to do a center alignment so that it kind of aligns it like that. And then I can pull this back out. Okay, so now we've got the basic setup for our box here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to select the box trigger up here. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to get a begin overlap. And then I'm going to select box trigger again. And I'm also going to grab the end overlap. All right. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to first need to make sure that it's the player that is in the box, inside the box trigger. So I'm going to right click. We've done this many times before. So I'm going to get player pawn. Okay. And then this is going to be the other actor. I'm going to drag off of here and I'm going to say equal. So hit the equal sign, hit equal, plug this in here. With that still selected, I'm going to hit Control D, duplicate it. Do the same thing this direction. Okay, and then one or the other. I'm just going to drag out, get a branch. Connect that up. Control D. Connect it up. Something like that. Now the text renderer, since this is what we're doing right now, is we're setting up the visibility and the location of the text renderer. So I'm going to drag this out here, drop the text renderer there, and we're going to set visibility. So drag off of there, set visibility. We're going to say if this is true, we will make it visible. So new visibility is true. And then down here, if this is true, if this other player has left, then we're going to do Control D down here. grab off of here, plug that in there. And if they left, that'll be true. And we will uncheck that so that the box goes away. Now, what we're going to do is we're also going to need to set the world transform because I want to set it up so that we can see basically it's facing our player, right? And we've gone over this before. So I'm going to drag out from here and we're going to do set world. And we're going to want set world transform. Actually, yeah, world transform. Set world. Probably should have just did that. So, and the target is also going to be my text renderer. Okay, and I'm going to double click here to kind of work this around this direction because we're going to need to do a few more things here. So now I'm going to right click and we're going to split that struct pin. And then we're going to right click and split that struct. And we're also going to right click and split the rotation struct as well. We're leaving the scale alone. We're not going to mess around with the scale. Okay, so for this one, I am going to get world location for the text renderer. So get world location for this one. We're going to split this struct. And we're going to use all three of these. So back when I said it didn't matter that the that we're going to put the text render in a certain spot, we're going to have to go back and make sure we have it where we want it to be. And then the other thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get control rotation. So from here, I'm going to pull out from the player and we're going to get control. So we want control rotation. So we want to know which way everything is rotated, right? So I'm kind of making a mess in here. Let me just kind of grab that one, move it out of the way, pull that up there. Maybe just pull these down just a little bit. Because we're going to need some room to work here. And then I'm going to right click and break this strut or split that struct. And we're going to need to, for the Z, I'm going to need to add. So I'm going to drag off from here and we're going to hit the shift and the plus button to get add. So shift plus button where you can type in add. We're going to want to rotate it 180. And we're going to put this into Z right here. Okay. Let's compile and save it. Now let's go back to the viewport and make sure we've got this set up where we want it to be so that the player can actually see it. So we're going to move the renderer up just a little bit. Okay. And the other thing I forgot to do is we're going to make this not visible. So we're going to uncheck visible right here. So about when it's in the scene, we don't see it, and then it becomes visible when the player comes up close to it. Come back into here and then drag out the actual platform. See, it should have a little box in front of it like that. That's why that one wasn't working. Also, one other thing when I did freak out and figure out why it wasn't working, right here I noticed that I have the wrong thing connected. I do that a lot. But if you connect it here, it should be other actor to equals. Compile that and save. Hopefully you caught that without me having to tell you. But if you didn't, that's the reason why. So now let's go ahead and hit play and see if this actually works. All right, there it is. So it's a little low. So maybe we might want to move up the text render just a little bit in the scene. All right, there it is. Okay, so we've got our blueprint started. Let me go ahead and do a file, save all. Now we're going to push through, even though this is going to take a little bit longer than my normal 20-minute long videos. That's just my goal, but we want to get this finished up, right? So let's go ahead and go to our content drawer, into our content, and we're going to find our inputs. We're going to go to interactions, and we're going to need to create 2 more interactions, right? We're going to right click. We're going to type in, we want an interface. So they're actually called blueprint interfaces. I keep referring to them as interactions, but it's actually a blueprint interface. Okay, and I'm going to call this BPI underscore, and we're going to call this CallPlatform. Okay, and then we're going to double click, open that one up, and we're going to call this function call platform. Okay, so it should be call platform right there. We're going to compile it and save it, and we can close that one. And now we're going to go back into the drawer. We're going to right click. We're going to do that again. We're going to come up with another interface. Okay, another blueprint interface. We're going to call this BPI underscore, and this one's going to be update status. Again, we're going to double click it. We're going to call the new function update status. We're going to compile it, and we're going to save it, and we can close this one now too. Okay, so for our interactive platform, so for this platform here, and you can also do this with the one that has the volume interface as well that we set up, but you can also have a call station for it if you wished. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add two things to it. We're going to add over here on our interface. So we need to add in our two interfaces that we just created. Okay. Oh, that's right. I never took out the start move platform. That's why that one's got the extra one. All right. So we're going to go to class settings over here. I'm going to delete this, this one right here. That one's going to confuse me. So I'm just going to say yes and move it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in. I'm going to do BPI underscore, and we're going to do the call platform. Okay, and then we're also going to add in BPI underscore, and we're going to do update status. Okay. All right. And then for right here, this is where we're going to end up doing that command. So I'm going to double click on call platform, and it's going to pop in down there. I'm going to want to click and drag it up to here. Now, this is what's going to come from our call station, and then it's going to fire this one. So our call station is going to call this event, and it's going to fire the move platform custom event, and then it'll execute this for us. So I'm going to compile and save it. I'm going to go to call platform. This right here, I'm going to highlight because we're done with that. And I'm just going to comment it, and we're going to call this, what am I trying to call this? Oh, text render visibility. Something like that. Hopefully I spelled it right. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this real quick and simple. We need to also, for this one, we need to add in, right now we don't have any of the interacts for this one. So we're going to need to do two things. Compile it first. So let's go into our class settings right here. Over here, we're going to add in, we're going to have to add in those same BPIs, right? In order for it to work, we have to have the same BPIs that we had for the other ones. So we need to have the interaction so that our player can interact with it. So we need to have the interact. We also need to have the BPI underscore call platform. And we also need to have the BPI update status. Okay. So this one should have three interfaces that show up over here: interaction, call platform, and update status. Now, the interaction is the one we're going to call first. We're going to double click that, and we're going to need this event interact. Okay, so double click this one. It brings this up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to drag out from here, and we're going to call platform message. And actually, let's step back for a second. I almost got ahead of myself. All right. So what we're actually going to need to do is we're going to need actor. Okay, so we're going to need to add an actor so that we can identify which actor we want it to be able to call. Okay. So down here under variables, we're going to hit the plus button, and I'm going to name this platform. Actually, this is going to be called, yeah, we'll just call this platform. So this is going to be a platform caller, and we're going to specify which platform we want it to call. So we're going to change it from a Boolean, and we're going to type in actor up here at the top. And right here at the top where it says actor, we want an object reference, and we're going to open that I. We're going to compile it. Now we're going to drag this out, and we're going to get platform, and we're going to want to get the call platform message for the BPI. Okay, and it should look something like that. Now, we're also going to want to, let's test this real quick. We're going to want to add a sound to this as well so that we know that it's working. And we're also going to do the visibility thing too to let the player know that there's a visible interaction. But what should happen right now? So I have this one in the world. I have the choice now with this one selected. See over here? I can now select which platform I want it to interact with. So I'm going to get my little eyedropper and click on my one interactable platform that's in the scene. And I'm going to go ahead and save. Now if I hit play, I should be able to roll up to it. And if I hit E, that platform should now be interacting and should move. When it gets to the end, which I can't see, I can hit E and I can call it back. So we know it's working. Now everything else we're going to do is just to kind of make the interaction a little bit more obvious and add some aesthetics to the whole thing. Okay, so now that we've got the initial part of the interaction working, what we're going to do is we're going to want to play a sound at location. Okay. And that location is going to be where our call platform is. So we're going to drag this, we're going to drag out our call platform up from up here. We're going to get the world location. And we're just going to plug that in there. So we're going to comment this and we're going to say call platform and play sound. Yeah, well, I've done better, but. All right, something like that. Compile it and save it. So now the sound that we want is going to be a beeping sound, which on my platform, I'm going to use the same sound that I was using for my platform, which is this sound right here. So we hit the little search button for it. This is my push button sound that I've created before. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one. I'm going to go back to my call platform. I'm just going to hit the little arrow right there. Now it's going to call that sound. Okay. And I'm going to drag it all the way out here. Now we could add sound attenuation to this, but the only time this is actually going to play is when we're right up on top of it anyway, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So now if I hit play, go up to it. Okay. And that platform should go up and down. All right, so the last piece is to get this screen to change colors. Right now, I don't have any color on this particular one. So let me go into my call platform. I'm just going to go ahead and throw something on the screen here, which is that mi underscore glass glowing red. That way I got something in there. So now it should have a red screen. All right. And this is actually going to be pretty simple. What we're going to do first, though, is we're going to go to our platform. Okay. And here in our platform, we're going to need to send that update status message that we created right here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to put it right in here. Just we'll check. Yeah, I'm going to put it right here in front of the sequence. We're going to put it right after the material here. Okay. So now I'm going to drag out from here and I'm going to type in updates. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Do that all the time. What's wrong with me? All right. So now the other thing we're going to want to do is in order for this type of thing to work, we actually have to. So if I right click real quick and I'm just going to go ahead and type it in so I can demonstrate it. You don't need to do this yet. Call function. Yeah, here's a call function. Okay. So on this call function, see there's a target right here. Now, this won't work if we just throw it in here by itself without a target. We actually need to tell it which one we want to update. So in our scene right here, this platform works with this call station. So we're going to want to have this platform update this call station when it starts to move. And that's what we're doing here. This won't work the way it's set up. So we're going to delete that. We're going to have to give it the ability to assign the correct call station. So again, just like we did with our platform and having to assign the platform for our call platform, we're going to need to do the same thing here in order for this to work properly. So I'm going to hit the plus button, and we're going to call this call platform so that we can assign, and since we already have that in there, we're going to have to do an underscore, call platform underscore. And we're going to change it from a Boolean, just like we did last time. This is going to be an actor again. And we're not making these, I'm going to open the eye and compile and save it. Now, the reason why we're not making these an array, we're just making them one, is because my concept for the game is that one call station calls one platform. You could conceivably use an array like we did with the cannons and call multiple calls or platforms with one call station if you wanted to set it up that way. But I'm not envisioning the game working that way, so I'm not setting mine up that way. All right, so now we have this. I'm going to pull this out here. We're going to get it. And I'm going to pull out from here, and we're going to type in update. And we should get update status, BPI, and it should be message. And this is what we want right here. Okay. I'm going to plug that in. Plug that in there. And then at the other end down here, we're going to call it. So this is when we move, we're going to call it so it should turn green. And when it's finished, it should turn red. So this one should turn it red. This one should turn it green. I just highlighted both of those. I'm going to do a Control D to duplicate it so I don't have to do that again. And just plug that in like that. Compile it, save it. Now I'm going to jump back over to the call station real quick, or the call the platform, call station, whatever we want to call it. And then now I'm going to double click the update status. Okay. And the update status, we're going to use a flip-flop to get it to go back and forth between the two, right? So I'm going to pull out from here, and we're going to type in flip-flop. So first it does A, and then it does B. So A should be when it moves, because when we first call it, it's stationary, it's going to be red. And when we want it to move, it should turn green. So A should be the first color we want it to change to, which is going to be green. So I'm going to, I'm going to pull out my SM call platform. And from here, I'm going to pull out, I'm going to say set material by name. We're using the name because this allows us to select the slot name that we want it to be. Okay. So I'm going to just kind of drag it up here, plug A into there. And then I'm going to do a Control D and put this one in down here to duplicate it. The slot name for our platform is screen right here. This is the slot. Remember when we first set this up, we went in and we renamed these slots. You can do that in here. So when you pull up this, you can go in and you can change it. And right here is the screen. And right now they're all default world grid material. If I wanted to, I could even go in underscore and type in the glass one and type that in there. So it's in there. And when I make my other decisions about my slots for changing the different colors on here, I'll use that probably inside of this. But right here is where you can change these names. And it's set to screen right here. I'm just going to copy that. Go back to this. For this slot name, it's going to be screen and screen. Okay, and then the material. This one's going to be green. So MI underscore, it's actually glowing green glass. And then this one is going to be glowing red glass. So it should change it back. All right, so now if I hit play, I should get a little sound. And guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to say, hey, this platform belongs to this call station. So we need to select that platform, and then we need to pick this call platform and save it. And now it should work. There we go. And when it gets to the top, it should turn back to red. And it did. Now it's set up to automatically move by itself. So what should happen is it should move. And I shouldn't be able to interact. We can interact and it's going to beep all at once, but it's not going to do anything to the platform until it actually comes to a stop. Because of the way we have the platform set up, the platform will not do anything because here, if it's moving, it won't actually activate. So we've got it set up so it won't activate. We could, if we wanted to make it so that the sound didn't work on our, we could also set it up to check to see if it's moving. We could use that update status to do that as well. All right. So the reason that we used an interface instead of referencing the blueprint is that this is more of a, it doesn't use as much memory. It's much cleaner to do. So we want to be able to have this blueprint communicate to this blueprint. And it's basically what we've done is this blueprint is communicating with this blueprint and vice versa by using this interface. So our blueprint interface right here allows us to interact between the two and even call other functions inside of a different blueprint. So here we called this function and then we executed that function. And over here, we're calling the function from here back into our platform here. Okay, so we're calling the platform. So back and forth, these two are communicating with each other without actually having to have a reference to the interact platform blueprint in here. And we don't have to have this platform referenced in the other one. We can just do this interface back and forth and it makes it cleaner and more efficient. All right, so that's it for this tutorial. It did run a little long, but we covered quite a bit and got a complete functioning platform within this length of time. So again, if you ran into any issues or any questions, please put a comment down in the comments section. Also, don't forget to hit the like button for me, help me out, and subscribe to my channel so that you can follow along. I will continue to put out some more tutorials for this game until we get it completed. So again, thanks for playing. I'll see you next time.